Yes guys, I'm back. I'm back with another one. Today, what I'm going to be looking at is obviously BTC. I'm going to go through USDT dominance, BTC dominance, have a little look at ETH, see what ETH's doing. Might even have a little look through a few altcoins, see what's going on. And just generally see what's occurring in the market at the minute. And pointing out some levels that I pointed out last week. So yeah, let's get straight into it, guys. So last week I pointed out these levels. So that was previous week's point of control, previous week's value area high, and previous week's value area low. You can see on Tuesday last week we came down. I were in a short. I said that I was going to be in a short around this zone here. I was in a short and I took most of my trade off here. I got into the short because we dropped back inside previous week's value area high. So I got into the short here and I followed it down. I took most of my trade off here because I was expecting a bounce at this zone. For it not to bounce, I really wanted to see a candle do that, a slow grind back up into this zone, and then a potential move down to around here. That didn't happen. It literally hit the zone, as you can see right here, came back up, never even paused in effect at the previous week's POC. It just went straight through and carried on all the way up to the high level zone where I said we would tag at around 110. And that was as simple as that, using a volume profile, no rectangles, no falling downwards, backwards flips, triangles on any of this. I'm not slagging stuff off like that. What I'm saying is you can make it so much easier without having to draw, oh well, that's a resistance zone, and that, oh, we're creating a bull flag, or as I call it, a bullshit, because that's what it is, a load of bullshit. You need to stop believing that. If it works, I'm not saying don't use it, but what I am saying is, the probabilities of them working are fairly low. So, try and integrate something like this into your trading. It's pretty similar, like, I still look at fair value gaps and things like that. I'm not saying that I use them as confirmations. If they work for you, they work for you. I'm actually using data, back data, that shows me where the volume is. Down in here, let's just go down to this zone. Excuse me. Down into this zone here. So if we get a volume profile from the Monday morning at 1 o'clock and we drag it to the Sunday, well, we'll just say the Monday at 1 o'clock. Let's just do the Monday at 1 o'clock. And we change that to my VPOC 13. So if we have a look at that there, the volume, the main volume is in here. Okay? And if you look at where it tags the top zone of that main volume. And then it bounces off. So everybody thinks, I've missed it, I've missed the rally. Technically you haven't. But once you see something like this, a highly manipulated candle like that there, and then it stalls and then rallies back up, rallies straight through that area. We had a little bit of a stall there, and then it rallied through the area at 5 o'clock the next Monday. That's telling you there the bulls are in control. It's probably time to take a long, and you get a nice 7% move. You probably held it for what? Monday to the following Thursday, about a week and a half. You held it and you've made a nice amount of money. It's not difficult. I've got no triangles, I've got no lines. All I've got is previous week's value areas on my chart to show me where all the volume is. That's all I've got. So that's just a little fine example of how you can use it. Can you see here when it rallied and held, tap, 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 that there, orders are getting filled. Buy orders are getting filled here. Filled, 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 filled. Rally. Same here. That candle that came through, we never even came back up and tested that. But what you can see is sellers have taken control here and they've pushed it down. They pushed it down nearly 6%. Fairly easy. So I don't need that on the chart anymore. Let's just get rid of that. So what I'm going to do now, while we're on here, we might as well. So this week's value areas, the previous week, not last week, the week before, I had these value areas marked out. You want to be taking your longs down here. You want to be taking your shorts around here. You probably would have been stopped out there, but it did look like, you know, it were resisting. But then it rallied through, tagged it, and went again. So what I'm going to do now is, these here, these levels, are now going to move to my new levels, which is last week's value areas. So we've got previous week's value area high, previous week's point of control, marked out, lovely, and previous week's value area low. Pretty simple. No fluff. None of this crap that you see on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. It's all just data backed, where the volume is, levels. That's all it is. And I did point out we're probably going to bounce from here. I pointed it out in the group. This is a zone that I've had marked out, and oh look, we bounced. Pretty simple. Probably as simple as you're going to get it. So now what we're doing is, now we're at 4 o'clock in the morning. I'm not awake at 4 o'clock in the morning. I don't think many people are. So what we've got now is, we've got these levels. So now what I'm going to do is 1 o'clock to there. I'm going to turn that to a VPOC 12. So what that'll do is, that will now, over time, over the week, it will start to create the range, and then we can take the trades from certain areas of interest. So yeah, I expected the bounce from there. We got the bounce. How much was the bounce? 2% bounce, which is still a decent amount. You know, BTC people probably put in like times 50, times 100. because BTC is a little bit more safer to do things like that. So as of now, where we are, we've just tagged the value area low this week, and we're trying to push back up towards the point of control, which is where volume is starting to develop. If we start to lose these levels, go back down to the 4 hour, up to the 4 hour, my apologies, it is early, it's 10 to 9 in the morning, I'm on my first cup of tea, I just took the kids to school, so you know, bear with me a little bit. So as of now, if we start to lose this level, there's a potential to come back down to here again to test that volume, last week's volume. Start to lose these levels, then yeah, we've got a potential to come back down into here. Until then, you know, I'm probably not going to touch it at the minute, but the high probability setup, because we are rejecting off this previous week's value area high, is a short down into these zones. So, you know, if we tag that, if we fire straight through it, then you know we're going to be going up into here. That'll be a nice 2% move right there. If we fire through and hold, then there's a potential to do something like that. We come back up and we tag, we lose that level, then yeah, we've got a potential to do something like that. So I will be keeping my eye on that. While we're at it, I'm going to have a little look at Atos, BTC. So as I pointed out last week in the group, this level here was a lot of stop losses. A lot of stop losses of people. It rallied, tagged, excuse me, tagged and dropped. Came back into the point of control, started to go sideways, and then fired off. And I was expecting that anyways, because, you know, trading's fairly easy. There's another trade that I put in the group, and it was this one, SCA. Last week's point of control is here. So the VPOC's here and the TPOC's there. I think the TPOC's time point of control, they're around the same level. You know, for it to move away, you really want to see it lose this, and then a potential rally back down towards these zones here. That's what we'd love to see, back down into these zones here, about order or 9 or 20. That's what we'd love to see. I'm not saying it's going to happen, because a lot of volume is here now in this zone, and I did point out to everybody, on the 4 hour, I want to see a big candle come through, a slight retracement here, and then a drop. As of now, there's a lot of sells coming in here at this zone, a lot of sells. These buyers here, but I did point out as well in the group, there was an order around here, this zone here, that was absorbing all the sellers. So everybody that kept selling in here were getting absorbed by a massive order, and it were a massive order. I can't remember how much it was, but it were a lot of money, and that's why it kept doing this sideways movement. I pointed that out. there was another one that I pointed out why it was going sideways. So what'll happen is, like, big players, they'll stagger their orders here in these zones. So they'll put some there, they'll put some there, they'll put some there, they'll put some there. And what it'll do is, every time it comes in, it bounces. In, bounce. In, bounce. At the minute, it looks like it's weakening because all them orders have been filled. So I can't really see many more orders at the minute. But that's what you're looking for. Yeah, here. All this volume that came in. All that effort did next to nothing. Where's my measurement tool? So all this effort caused a 20% drop. But if we look at this effort, which wasn't really much effort from the buyers at that high volume node, it rallied nearly 80%. But look at the volume there. All that effort did nothing to this coin. Nothing. But the minimal effort fired at 8%. The maximum effort dropped it 20. That was it. So we're going to see how this plays out this week. So like I say, I really want to see it drop below this value area. A bit more sideways. Start building them orders up. Them sell orders. And then a drop back to this zone here. Around this high volume node. Till then, no trade. Layer. Not a lot really going on in layer. But you can see something similar with layer. So you get all this volume coming in at the high. So everybody started to long here, like sausages. And then it loses 14%. So everybody's been stopped out. They've either stopped out or they've closed the position. Or what they've done is they've held. They've waited for the next opportunity when it comes up. Then they'll close the positions. And then what happens is, because they're closing the positions because they can see that the volume's weakening, it then drops 20%. That's what you've got to look for. Things like that. Back in the BTC at the minute. See how BTC's rallying at the minute? Coming back up to test that point of control. Not difficult. It's really not difficult, this. It's fairly simple. So yeah, let's go on to USDT dominance. While we're at it, I might as well. Actually, we'll look at ETH first. Let's have a little look at ETH when it loads. Right, ETH. Let's have a look at ETH. Right, what's this one? Do you know what? I'm getting rid of that. Right, ETH. Let's have a little scanner view. I don't know why, but my computer's been running like a pile of crap lately and I don't know what's going on with it. So, Ethereum, Monday. To Monday. So, that was 28th of June. Let's get the new one up. Last week's. Right. So last week's value area high was here. And can you see how we tagged it at 5 o'clock Friday? The value area high here. Tagged it. And did probably around about a 6% move. So where we are now in ETH, get the lines out. That's the value area high last week's. Previous week's value area high. Previous week's point of control. Previous week's POC right there. And previous week's value area low. So what we're doing now is we're rallying into previous week's point of control. Okay? Pretty simple to see. You can see what's happening here. So what I will do is I'll keep them on my chart because they're my levels of interest. And then what I'm going to do is now, from here to here, I'll turn that into VPOC 12. And where we are now is not really an area where I want to take a trade. Okay? Because we're probably going to come up and retest these areas here. And if we reject, then we're probably going to come back down and retest these areas here. If we fire through on the 4 hour, we're on the 1 hour at the minute. If we fire through on the 4 hour and we start to close above, start to go sideways, that's telling me there's buyers. Buyers are willing to buy here at this zone. There's no rectangle, obsolete angle, ribbity angle, blangle, bullshit, flag, all that crap. There's none of that. Just volume. And the way the candles look. So I can even probably get an ETH chart up and then I'm going to go through ETH, USDT, futures, Binance. There we go. We'll get this up. At some point this week I'm going to update how I'm using these charts to show you what I'm doing, how I'm doing it. Templates. Right, where are you? Right, we're there. Full page in a minute. Now let's have a little look. Oh, this is on the 5-minute chart. Go to the hourly. I'm probably going to have to get a bit more data up as well. Yep, I am. Auto. That's really annoying with this platform because it does it as auto. And it really annoys me. I like to see the whole picture, you know, on these charts. You know me, I like to see that bigger picture. I give shit about the 1 minute chart. Many people might. I really don't care. So while we're waiting for that to load, let's have a little look at BTC. So as you can see at the minute with BTC, this POC here is developing. So what it's showing me is there's a lot of volume here at the value area high. There's a lot of volume just above the POC, and there isn't much volume at the value area low. So I'll be looking at previous weeks points of controls and seeing where we go. But what did I just say? And we've done that. We've done what I just said. We're probably going to test this POC we tested the POC. And now we're stalling a little bit. Genuinely, it is not hard to do this. Okay, thank you. Right, so now I've got my line here. It's probably going to mess it up. Last week's point of control. Last week's value area low. Last week's value area high. So now I've got levels on there where I can potentially take a trade. Held it, come back, retest, rally. Reject, 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 drop. You know, that's how simple I'm doing it. And I'm not saying I'm going to win every trade, because you know what? I'm not going to win every trade. But what I've got on there is I've got actual data telling me that, yeah, this is potentially what's going to happen. This is potentially what's going to happen. So my order flow indicator showing me 10 at the minute. Probably put it to 50. And then that'll just show me the whole amounts of what's actually coming in at the minute. So what I'll do now is, last week's point of control is here at that level. Last week's POC. Okay. Last week's value area high. I've got templates for these when I can find the template. There it is. Last week's value area high. And last week's value area low. There we go. Pretty simple, don't you think? And have a look. Last week's value area high. What do we have there? A big area where there is a sell limit around that zone. Last week's value area low just above at 2.5, an order sat there. So you can just use these levels. You know, then you can scan up, see where people are. You've got a big order of sell there, you've got a big order of sell there. Pretty simple to use. It might look complicated, but it's not. It's really not complicated. So this week's value areas, we're above the POC and we're coming up to test the value area high at the minute, where we have rejected from several times. Last week's value area high, a rejection, it went through, came back, tagged, reject. And when did it reject? 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, I'm not at work. And that was a 5% drop. Came down into here, value area low. It never even tagged the value area low. These OLs are the opening lines of the day. So where it opens. So we've got areas of interest in ETH now, what I'm going to be looking at. We've got areas of interest in BTC, what I'm looking at. And that's as easy as that's as simple and easy as what I'm doing. Right. USDT dominance. I'm going on the daily. Right, USDT dominance. Where we are at the minute, not too good at the minute, if I'm being honest. You know, you got support here, you got resistance up here. Fairly simple to look at. it wouldn't surprise me if USDT dominance drops down into here, which BTC is going to rally if it does. If it goes up into here, then yeah, you know, BTC is going to drop. Just as simple as that. That's what's going to occur with it. BTC dominance starting to struggle at the minute where it is. Well, that's what I've got marked out in dominance, BTC dominance. It is struggling at the minute, but it's not like we haven't seen it before. And then it rallies. So that's probably going to be my long zone in most coins in here. If we fire through, then, you know, I'll probably close them out. But, you know, that'd be lovely to see something like that. A nice drop from that zone, which would be around 15%, which would give altcoins a nice little rally. It would be lovely, that. So, you know, and what you've got to think is, you know, with these altcoins, these big players, they're not buying altcoins, are they? Well, they might be buying a few, but I just mean, like, they're not actively going out there and be like, oh yeah, I want to buy Fartcoin. No, they're not. They're looking at BTC as a long-term portfolio investment. That's what they're looking at. Day traders, i.e. like me, we're in and out of the market. So, you know, that's what you've got to think about, that they're not buying shitcoin and bumhole coin and toe coin and all that crap. You know, that they might buy it right at the beginning, watch it rally, and then close it all, and then you're all buying it here. They've all bought it here, and you're all buying it here. All because some little sausage on Twitter goes, oh, you want to buy this coin? Market cap's this. Shut up. Do me head in. So, that's what I'm looking at this week with BTC. You know, I've got levels of interest. At the minute, we're closed in a range. We've hit a high level resistance zone at the minute. That's why I'm pointing out, you know, a possible retest of these zones. You know, I might, if we get to here and start to reject 1, 2, 3, 4, then yeah, shorts on the cards, and I'll probably short it down in here. So this is probably what I'll look at. A short will be here. My stop's going to be above that area. If I get stopped, I get stopped. And I'm probably going to look at that, take a lot of it off there, and then trail it down to around there. If we start to lose that, then yeah, you know, there's a potential of possibly dropping down in that zone. But even to be on the more safe side, I could probably put my stop there, which is a fair old distance away. Sooner we start to rally down, lose that, I'll add to my trade. So, you know, keep an eye on that level. I'll keep it on there. If I get stopped out, I get stopped out. It is what it is. We'll hide that for now. But that's what I'm going to be looking at. And that's it today, guys. I'm going to have to get off. Got another busy day ahead of me. As always, life does not stop. So yeah, watch them levels. Come and join us in our group. All the links will be in the description below. You know all the links. I don't need to keep plugging them. And I will catch you in the next one. Oh yeah, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. And yeah, we'll catch you in the next one. Happy trading, guys.